I want to start with the Phillies on this Monday morning to get the week going because I actually thought it was a pretty strong weekend for them. Now, it's a shame they couldn't complete the comeback. It was a wild Sunday afternoon tilt. I do respect their fight, though. Again, it sucks that they can't squeeze out a sweep. They seem to do just enough, like take 2 out of 3, which isn't a bad thing, by the way, but they do just enough to get you excited. And then when they can take that next step, they just need to just keep you grounded by only taking 2 out of 3 and not the full sweep. I just wish they'd give me a little more. I need a little more. Sweeping the Diamondbacks at home, that would have been lovely. But nope, they can't do that for me. They were down to their final out in the 9th. They tied the game up. They were down 7-1, and their bullpen kept you in it. You had guys like Weston Wilson and Alec Boehm delivering big spots. So there was something there in this weekend, even in the loss Sunday, that I can't lose sight of. But the focus now shifts to 2 people in particular, and I think we have to start with Bryce Harper. He had the opposite field home run in the first, and then his second at-bat of the day, he singled, which is a huge step in the right direction, considering where he's been. He's been flirting around 230 of a batting average, which is just horrendous. Here's the issue, though. Following those 2 ABs to start the game, the 9th inning, he goes down looking, following a horrendous at-bat by Trea Turner. Trea Turner swinging out of his shoes at a 90-plus mile-per-hour pitch that was almost hitting him in the eyeballs. And here's Bryce following that AB, and he goes down looking in the 9th. In the 10th, with 2 on, down 2. So if he did something magical, that would have sent this entire city into a frenzy, and that could have been a moment, a highlighted moment of the regular season if he came up clutch, but instead he flied out. And this is what Bryce Harper had to say after the game.
Kind of what are you feeling at the plate, and what do you kind of make of how it's gone for you so far?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just frustrated on a bigger level. Just want to come through for the team and play well. And obviously, I've been through ruts in my career and gone through ups and downs, and worse than what I'm on right now. But just frustrated for the fans, frustrated for my team. Even that last moment right there against Beaks, just not coming through, just super frustrated for that. So just want to play better, got to play better, take better at bats and all that kind of stuff. So just got to be a better ball player.
So this is what I'm trying to figure out, and I'm going to need your help tonight at 215-592-9494. Was Sunday a positive sign for Bryce Harper or a negative sign? That 9th and 10th inning at bat, are they going to stick with you more compared to watching him actually go the other way for a shot? An opposite field bomb? We've been waiting for power. We saw it. We watched him have back-to-back hits. He was on base. Well, he ran all around all the bases in the first inning to put you up 1-0. And you also saw him single. Knowing his struggles at the plate, you would think, just from a 1,000-foot view, that is a tremendous thing to have optimism that maybe Bryce Harper is getting out of this slump. And I can't pretend that's not a big deal. He's been terrible. He's been abysmal as of late. Bryce Harper has not been good whatsoever. So to see those first 2 at-bats, that's very, very, very important. That is huge. I was stoked when I saw the home run. I was pumped. The group chats were flying. The group chats were lighting up on the phone. Boys, I think we got Bryce back. That's how impactful that home run was. As the game played out, though, you saw the 9th, you saw the 10th, you saw the light shining bright for Bryce to step up, and it was almost the perfect calling for him to be at the plate, specifically in that 10th, with the few base runners on, down 2. a home run there, and that place would have been so electric, it would have been so loud, it would have been so intense, and a lot of us would have felt, hey, that could have changed the trajectory of this momentum switch that we could potentially have here. That could be what makes this team click and make this team blossom and go on a run. That's your superstar getting out of a funk and coming up clutch to be epic in that 10th. But instead, the 9th and 10th, some really rough at-bats. So was Sunday a positive for Bryce? Getting off the schneid early in the game? Or is it still blah because of the unfortunate later 2 at-bats? 215-592-9494. That's on the Bryce Harper front. I said the focus shifts to 2 people. Here's the second part of it. Ranger. 3 2/3, 7 earned runs, and once he went into the stretch, he lost all of his command. I'm watching him try to paint on the outside part of the plate to right-handed hitters. The ball was 7 feet wide, consistently. What would you do with Ranger? Would you try and squeeze him in to this starting rotation like the Phillies are obviously doing? Or would you put him in the pen to help bolster that because he is better for the pen than Taijuan Walker is? You saw what he could do in the first couple of innings there before it went uncontrollably bad. But if you put him in the 7th, if you put him in the 8th, knowing you're very thin in your pen, isn't that more beneficial than Taijuan Walker being in that long man mode? I just don't see it out of Ranger. I think he's best suited, if we're trying to maximize this roster, to be a bullpen arm that can help shore up one of the flaws with this group. But I'm curious where you stand out there. So as we get to the phones here and kick this into motion, 215-592-9494, for Bryce Harper, was Sunday a positive sign or a negative sign? And for Ranger, how would you best utilize him? How would you best structure this team with him, starting rotation, relief pitching? Now, it's his first start, coming off of, trying to get right and trying to get healthy, so I'm not going to crush him fully. But I don't love the idea they're throwing around here. I think they're trying to get too cute with this starting rotation right now. I do. I think they're trying to get too cute. When reality is, it's not very complicated. You're overcomplicating a situation that's pretty simple to solve. You keep the starting rotation the same as it was before Ranger, and you help improve your bullpen with Ranger. That simple. To the phones we go. Let's kick things off with Ben in Allentown. What's going on, Ben?
Hello, Brodes. It's good that you remembered to get some snacks for the night, so kudos to you.
Thank you.
And best of luck for the next few days. Although I do have to ask, did John leave behind some Caller of the Morning trophies while he was gone?
Not that I am familiar with, but it doesn't mean we can't be... Is that what we have? Do we have that? Is that Alex? Alex, are you showing me something?
We do have a little trophy back here.
Okay. See, we got the trophy. That's on me. I apologize. See, I told you I'm bad at this. I feel sorry for you guys for having to listen. But, yes, we have it, Ben.
Thanks, Alex. So, now, Brodes,
yes.
Before what it says on the call screen, I'll answer your Phillies points real quick.
Okay.
It is a fluky sign from Harper because, remember, even the worst of the worst batters have hit a home run every once in a while. I mean, remember when we had Wes Helms, we always thought it was either small contact or an automatic out, and occasionally he hit one out of the park. So it was a fluky sign, much like all the other players are a fluky sign because this team is too inconsistent. We basically have Eli Manning batting 1 through 9 because it's just a matter of I'm going to swing for the fences and damn trying to hit a double. Because everybody's trying to be the exact same player, and that is Bryce Harper's wingman.
Okay, listen, I mean, I'm not as up and excited about this team as the optimistic Phillies fans are, so I do lean very similar to you, but I'm trying, and maybe that's a flaw on my end, to try and feel like there can be reasons to jump back on board, and Bryce hitting a home run could maybe swing me in the right direction, but that's why I'm very conflicted and need help from the people, because I thought it was going to be a positive sign. I didn't think that I'd ever have to really debate if this was going to be a positive Bryce Harper conversation tonight. But here we are, so I'm conflicted on how to really absorb this most recent Bryce Harper performance. I think the ending, the 9th, the 10th, it was just so sour and reminded me of all of his down spots so far this year that I probably do lean that way more, which is sad, unfortunately.
Okay, that negative feeling that you have, that bit of skepticism, keep doing that. So,
Don't mind if I do. Don't mind if I do.
The Ranger question you asked, 100% keep them in the bullpen because they desperately need it, because it's probably the worst that I've seen in my 20-plus years of watching Phillies baseball, and it would be a good way for him to shake off the rust. And also, something else I would do is I would actually put Aaron Nola in the bullpen because it seems like he's only good for an inning or two before he gives up 3 home runs. And I don't care what his ego says. Get your ass in the pen because you're not a starter anymore. They should give him the same treatment that John Smoltz got with the Braves in the latter part of his career and made him a closer. They should do the same thing with Aaron. Whether he closes or is in the middle, who knows? But anything is better than watching 8 home runs in a matter of 2 innings.
Ben, I was with you all the way through until you hit my guy Aaron Nola straight in the mouth. I'll chew on that a little bit later, but I do want you to get into do you have some Union stuff you want to chew on too?
Yes, because you're probably the only person I can probably do this with, so thank you. They were damn lucky to get out of Montreal with the win because both teams just played so horribly and so sloppy. It looked like, even as much as we say that Major League Soccer is not real Major League Soccer, they look even less than what we already think of the league, and they practically look like, soft, perfect. And they practically look like toddlers playing soccer for the first time, because those 2 goals that were scored by the Union was not a matter of the Union having skill. It was just Montreal is that bad, and they deserve to be in the bottom of the MLS standings. And the goal that they got was just poor defense on the Union's part. That was one of the worst Union games I've watched since they have been relevant.
Wow.
And I've watched all of Andre Blake's career, and nothing that was poor on the Union was Andre's fault. At least he was actually doing something, which was actually put in some damn effort and actually looking like a professional and actually looking like the best goalie in Major League Soccer, despite what all those tweets – I'm not done yet, Mr. Ric Flair – despite what all those tweets when Lionel Messi played us for the first time, because, people are only bandwagoning now. It's basically the same thing as when David Beckham was brought into the league for the first time. It's, look, now there is some relevancy, and then David Beckham barely did anything because it was really Landon Donovan that was doing all the heavy lifting. So, yes, this Union game last week was just piss poor, and it's a shame because they are second or third in the Supporter Shield standings, and at least the Union have done something that, unlike the Sixers, which is actually make it past the second round and actually make it to the MLS final, and bringing us a Supporters Trophy is more trophies than the Sixers have given us in the last 25 years. So suck on that, Mr. Harris, who apparently doesn't even realize he has a basketball team anymore because he's so focused on his precious commies.
Listen, Ben, I appreciate your passion for the MLS Cup. Ben, seriously, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you kicking us off as you do a phenomenal job. Most of the times when I'm listening back and I'm driving home after I do a 10P to 2A shift, I'm listening to John. I hear Ben kicking things off with fire.
Yeah, he gave you a little extra fire right there.
He gave us some extra fire, so I'm always appreciative of that. Now, I'd be lying if I told you I knew much about what was going on with the Union. Now, I click here, though, and the first thing says, Union stay hot. Edge out Montreal on goal in 84th minute. So, I have no rebuttal or talking points on Union, but I do appreciate the passion. I do have a rebuttal on that disrespect to Aaron Nola, though. I mean, Aaron Nola just went 6 strong, all right? 109 pitches. And this was all with a stiff neck. Stiff neck! This is following a day in Wrigley where he went 7, only allowed 1 earned run, only walked 1. He allowed no home runs in his last 2 days. Aaron Nola can't start anymore? I don't know if I was feeling the vibe. That's the truth. And I love Ben. But you're telling me we can't appreciate Knowles?
He's back.
Come on, man. Knowles is looking good out there. Today's not the day to say we got to put Aaron Nola in the pen or, tell him to shut up if he doesn't like it. That start of the year, that wasn't him. What we saw the last 2 starts, that's him, baby. That's him. My mentions are awfully quiet. The last 2 weeks with Aaron Nola. The disrespect. It's unbelievable. Let's go to John in Hazleton. What's up, John?
Bro, what's up, brother?
What's up?
All right, I want to get in on. I'll start with Ranger Danger.
Okay.
I think what we've seen from Ranger Danger in the second half of last year is closer to who he really is than what we've seen up until June. I think he would probably be better off in the bullpen, but here's the problem. Scott Boras ain't going to allow it. He's in a contract.
Yep.
And, I don't see any way they'll allow him in the bullpen unless he absolutely stinks as a starter. And then he might want to go to the bullpen just because he's fighting for another contract. As far as Harper goes, I just think this is who he is now. I don't think he's, completely washed up. I just think he's on the downside of his career. I think he's a 25 to 30 home run guy, knocking or maybe around 100 RBIs, bat around 265, 270. But the MVP, Bryce Harper, and all that stuff, I think them days are gone.
I don't disagree with you. I agree. I do think we're probably past the MVP stuff. Now, maybe he can give us a week or 2 of really hot baseball that reflects MVP style, But yeah, over the length of a long period of time, maybe you're right. And even listening to him, he definitely seems to be in a headspace that I'm not accustomed to ever seeing him in, even when he does go through a slump. So it's strange to watch this version of Bryce. There's no doubt about it.
Look, here's the thing we got to think of. This guy's been playing, high-level baseball since he was 13, 14 years old. It's a long time. And his swing, it's not as violent as it used to be. It's still pretty violent. And all that wear and tear, I just think that's who the guy is anymore. And one more thing, and then I'll let you go. I see a lot of people complain sometimes when he don't sprint down the first base on a lot of routine ground balls. I personally really don't have a problem with that because, we need him in the lineup. I have more of a problem when he does dumb stuff, trying to stretch singles into doubles and gets thrown out there.
I hate that too, John. And thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't like that only because I think this team isn't smart, and I'll continue to expand on that in a moment. But when your face of the franchise isn't smart on the bases, then it's automatically going to probably sink into some of the other players as well. But we haven't really had that issue so much this season, probably because he can't get on base. So if he's not getting on base, there's not enough time for him to even round first to try and take 2 and expand it. At the same time, though, there's a lot of times where he does stretch the single to a double, and it's effective, and it works. And it's sort of that give and take type of thing where, yes, he takes calculated risks, and sometimes it's going to backfire, but it also probably benefits you more than it hurts you when you look at the full body of work. But it doesn't mean when it happens and it fails, it's not annoying to watch. So I understand that. And yeah, we just witnessed again on Sunday another brain-dead base-running mistake. And this time from JT Realmuto making a final out at third, trying to, just run and compete to get to third when you can't do it. You just can't do it. And I know Rob Thompson was very pissed off because he thought Suarez was blocking third base. But how about you get mad that JT Realmuto, a pro, is doing something that Rojas just got benched for a day ago? Johan Rojas, forget what they said publicly about him being banged up. He wasn't banged up. They benched his ass because he almost made the third out at third when it was stupid for him to take that risk and gamble. Then JT does it a day or two later? That's ridiculous. That's what stops me from believing in this team is I don't think they're smart. I don't think they're fundamentally sound whatsoever. That type of stuff pisses me off because that should be fixable. Listen, if guys are breaking down because of wear and tear, that's called father time. You can't stop that. But can you think the game properly after you've been in the league for a billion years and you just watch someone like Johan Rojas have to get benched for it? It just happened. It just happened. JT should be benched. That's how it should go. And we'll see what Topper does. They have an off day to Monday, today, and we'll see what happens when they play the Rays, but I can't stand that crap. It happens too much. Does it relate to Bryce Harper in the way he busts busted out of the box on the base paths and trying to stretch first singles into doubles and all? Maybe. Maybe not, though. I don't know. I don't know. All right, 215-592-9494. We are just getting started tonight. Here's my question, and I'm really trying to figure out the answer here. It's a two-part question. It's in regards to two very important Phillies in particular. Number one is Bryce Harper. And knowing that he got off the schneid by having 2 hits in his first 2 at-bats against Arizona on Sunday, was that a positive sign, even though in the 9th and 10th he had some abysmal ABs with the light shining bright and he had a moment to really pop off and he didn't? Where does this line up for you in regards to the optimism? Is this a positive sign? Hey, got a home run and a single to start off the game after a really dysfunctional start to the season. That should be good that he showed power. But the 9th and 10th were so bad, maybe it just sort of counterbalances the good. Was this a positive step in the right direction? Was it a negative? I don't know how to feel. I'm very conflicted. I need your help. And also, Ranger Suarez, not a good debut. Do you believe in him being a starter? Do you? Or do you think the best thing to do is put him in the pen? 215-592-9494. Coming up next, your phone calls, and we will discuss Trea Turner's day on Sunday as well. It's Brodes filling in for Jon Johnson on 94 WIP. Was Sunday a positive sign or negative sign for Bryce Harper as he showed some solid stuff at the dish early in the game? But man, late it was absolutely rough and really not sure how to handle this Ranger thing, okay? Well, I am sure how to. They're not going to listen to me. Put him in the pen! Put him in the pen! Your pen is a weakness. Your staff is a strength. Easy fix. They're overcomplicating it. Now, we're going to get to the phones in 1 second here, but I did tell you that we have to digest the day of Trea Turner on Sunday. He went 1 for 6. This, I don't know if I'm being too nitpicky because I can't stand 99.9% of what Trea Turner does. In the 9th inning when Jose Alvarado was in the game, the score was 7-6 Arizona at this point. And it's a big deal. Because the Phillies in the bottom of the 9th scored 2 runs. There was a double play ball in the 9th. They bobbled a little bit, and it was just a terrible throw, and it was just not competitive whatsoever. And it was Carroll who grounded out into the fielder's choice. Perdomo was out at second base. But if he was able to actually turn 2 there, maybe it's not extras. Maybe you actually win it in the 9th with Bohm's single to center. Now, I know a lot of things change. It probably won't play out the same exact way. Pitch sequences change and all kinds of stuff changes. But that allowed the Diamondbacks to get an extra run in the 9th. Hey, Trey, there's that defense again. How come every time there's a ball that's thrown to second base when someone's stealing, it goes all the way to center? Every time.
Back to back today.
Every time. He
I
has,
don't know. It's
he has
weird.
no clue how to apply a tag.
How many times do you think they throw that and redo that same exact thing in practice?
Well, I don't know. I would hope a lot.
I feel like, in an MLB practice, there's only so much that these grown men are going to be doing. I guarantee you that just trying to gun a guy out at second on a steal is definitely what they practice all day.
In theory, I would agree. I just don't know what these athletes do anymore.
Right.
But yeah, in theory, I agree. How many times is Trea Turner at second base trying to apply a tag when someone's trying to steal? A billion.
He's a practice warrior.
Looks like he's never done it in his life. 1 for 6. Let's go to the phones. 215-592-9494. Let's go to Shai in Cherry Hill. What's up, Shai?
What's going on, Brodes?
What's happening?
Just chilling. Was at the game yesterday? Well, yeah, I guess yesterday. I would still consider it today.
Hey, listen, I'm sure that was an entertaining game, to say the least, to actually appreciate in real time.
Listen, I mean, it was a great atmosphere. 44,000 fans, despite the rain. And I do want to say this. One of my biggest pet peeves. I understand baseball. It's a longer game. But now you don't really have that excuse because you have the pitch clock and stuff. There's no reason to be leaving a game at all under any circumstances. You see it at the Eagles games. When somebody leaves, everybody goes at that person leaving, like, why are you leaving? Why are you leaving? And they give that sorry excuse. Oh, I got to beat the traffic, man. First of all, there's like barely any traffic leaving the Phillies game. Aside from that, I think this is the start of something big for Harper. I think he'll start to go on his hitting streak like he usually does. I think you're going to see an influx of home runs coming from him. Hopefully. I mean, you never know. The team's been streaky all year. Regarding Ranger, I just don't think moving him to the bullpen is necessary.
Okay.
You're not going to see Painter on the starting roster in the starting pitching rotation, in my opinion, until late August, early September. Coming off Tommy John surgery, I don't see a point in rushing this kid up into the starting rotation. I think the starting rotation is fine, honestly. You just said it. Nola is finding himself. As much as I don't like that warm weather excuse, he's been here for 9 years. He should be able to pitch in any conditions in the Northeast. It's true. The warm weather thing, it matters. But I just don't think moving Ranger to the pen is going to help anything, especially now that you have Taijuan Walker, who is going to be able to pitch back-to-back innings, which is your number one problem with your relievers. They don't really have anybody who can really pitch back-to-back innings well. You got rid of Jeff Hoffman last year. That was really the only guy who could do it. I mean, Turnbull for a little while, but
well, let me ask you this:
do
you expect Walker to do this in a 7th, 8th? Because you bring up Hoffman. Do you think they're going to utilize a Taijuan Walker in an 8th inning and have him do that in back-to-back games, and that's his new role? Or do you see him maybe being more of a, let's say Ranger, for example, goes 3 2/3 and they need to get to the 7th. Is he the guy that backpacks maybe someone who has a very difficult start? Which one do you think they use Taijuan in?
I think they'll probably end up doing the second option where, let's say Ranger goes 3 2/3. They throw Taijuan out there for a good 2.1 innings, 3.2 innings.
Right.
I can see them doing the other option, but you have guys like Strom and Alvarado and Kerkering, as much as he struggles. As long as I don't have to see Carlos Hernandez out there and just see Joe Ross and Jordan Romano.
But you might, though. That's the problem is, and I do like your thought of maybe Walker being able to be used a couple of days in a row or whatever, but I just don't know if, and thanks, Shai, I really do appreciate your phone call. I just don't know if they are going to look at it that way. They'll probably look at it as the latter, as I mentioned, which is more of a longer relief type of role. So if you don't want Carlos Hernandez, if you don't want Joe Ross, if you don't want those guys and you don't want to see them anymore, I think the way to help fix that, now you got to get a couple of new names. It can't just be one person, but a Ranger Suarez could be more of a Jeff Hoffman. If you're looking to replenish Jeff Hoffman, and I'm just using that name because you brought it up, and it's a fair name to use in this exercise. if you're trying to replenish that role, Ranger has a better shot of that than Walker does. I think Ranger can actually be an internal fix to a massive hole in your roster. One of the pieces that can help fix this roster hole. Because you got to do more. You got to acquire someone at the deadline. You got to probably find another internal option, whether it's someone in the minors or we're not really accustomed to hearing about much or whatever it is. But you have to find a way. And then it's the collective group of Ranger Suarez, whoever you pick up at the deadline, and that other internal fix maybe from the minors, and those three names could then push the Carlos Hernandezes out the door, the Joe Rosses out the door, and those type of guys. Because right now it's Jose Alvarado, Matt Strahm, and that's essentially it that I have faith in. And you are going to run Jose Alvarado into the ground. Into the ground. You're so thin that you had to ask him go for a second inning in this game. Because you really just don't have that many options that you feel comfortable with. And when he's out there for a second inning, it got very uncomfortable. Now, I'm not here to bash the bullpen today. I actually think the bullpen's been okay over the last few games, over the last two series in particular. But they're going to have their moments again when they blow up. They're just not very good, and they're super, super thin. How do you fix it? I think Rangers is one of those options. I really do. I really, really do. 215-592-9494. Tom, you will be first coming up next. Some open lines if you do want to join. 215-592-9494. Was Bryce Harper's Sunday a positive sign with his first two at-bats or more of a negative impact for you emotionally because of how the 9th and the 10th went? We're split so far. We have heard some calls that say, hey, listen, this could be the resurgence. But then we also have some calls that view it with the mentality of once in a while, even bad hitters hit home runs. So this could just be one of the random blip on the radars where Bryce hits a homer, but then he falls back into his standard slump ways that we are accustomed to watching, and they're not feeling the positive juice. It's a little split right now. Where do you stand on it? 215-592-9494. Coming up next, I do have to tell you about a huge day that's going on here at the station that we will get into as well. It's Brodes filling in for Jon Johnson on 94 WIP. You know. All right, to the phones we go. Let's go to my guy Tom in Alabama. What's going on, Tom?
Yo, Brody, excuse me. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing all right, man. You know, I think Harper needs to be in that 3 hole, too. I think that might have something to do with it. And I was looking at some numbers with him and Machado. They played just about the same time. Actually, Machado's played more. And Harper's averaged 127 games in the last 13 years. They're both in their 14th season. Some people are different than others, man. I personally think he's slowing down a little bit. I mean, he's played a lot of ball, you know, running from the dugout to that outfield and then back again 9 times a game. That takes it out of you right there. And it just, he looks like he's a little sluggish. And they've been going into October the last couple of years. I'd be a little tired, man, you know.
I can't rule it out. And I have a very similar thought. Not that he's broken, but it's just he is wearing the wear and tear. There's a big difference between being a full-out broken version of yourself where Father Time gets you, and then there's, hey, you know, it might not be MVP Bryce Harper anymore. Those are two totally different extremes. And, yeah, I mean, I do think we're trending in a weird, awkward spot of Bryce Harper's career where he's no longer that spry young pup anymore who's 25, 26, 27, playing with that fire and intensities. He's working into that 30 range, and this is where things teeter. So he's either going to have to figure it the hell out, or it's just going to continue this trend. And, you know, I don't know. But I'm very uncomfortable, Tom.
Well, see, that's part of the problem with the team. They're old, man. Their average age is closer to 30 than not. I mean, Realmuto's going to 35. Even Turner's going to be 32. And I've never seen a team. They came out the first week or two looking at pitches. They swing at the first pitch. It makes me so frustrated, man.
Yeah.
Dino Baum has played 31 games. He's been up to the plate 123 times. Take a guess how many times he's walked so far this year.
Oh, I think he's got 3 walks now.
3 walks.
3.
That's pretty damn hard to do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, to go up to the plate 123 times. Sosa has played less than half the time, and he's got 2 walks. I mean, and it's hard to when they're not getting on the steal bases. And I'll tell you, Turner, man, I don't know, man. This guy, when he got to Philadelphia, it seems like he forgot how to play baseball between his fundamentals and everything. I know he's starting to hit the ball a little bit better. And then I can't understand Thompson. Kepler is doing good. He needs to be in left field. Rojas needs to be in center. And the only guy that's been punished so far, that's been benched to me, is Rojas. Then he sticks Marsh out there yesterday. Damn ball hits him in the head, it looked like, that he missed on a fly. Man, I like that Marsh and all, but he does not need to be out there, man. Okay, that kid came up. Weston Wilson had a nice game, at least. Yeah, he's got a right-handed bat. We need right-handed bats. But they struck out 14 times today, man. They walked 5 times. They are far and away ahead of strikeouts than they are walks because they don't look at pitches. They just go up there swinging.
Tom, I appreciate the phone call. Thank you so much. I don't necessarily feel the same type of fire about the lineup, as I know Tom isn't the only one to feel a little disappointed with Max Kepler being out after having a couple of days and smoking the baseball really well. Here's the thing. You put Kyle Schwarber in left field, he had one of the biggest at-bats of the game where he put you in striking distance in the 9th. You were down 8-6. He had a solo shot to make it 8-7. That's why you keep his bat in the lineup. Kyle Schwarber's a beast. I'm okay with keeping him in the lineup. And, you know, with Bryce DHing and Weston Wilson playing at first, Weston Wilson hit a 3-run jack. So taking Kepler out of the game and however he managed to kind of maneuver things around, I don't think they didn't win this game because of Rob Thompson's lineup. And truth be told, another reaction that I don't necessarily agree with is the bullpen again. People were freaking out with the bullpen because I get it. The 10th inning was not glorious whatsoever. And Jose Alvarado, that was a little rough as well, asking him to go back out for a second inning and whatnot. But when the score is 7-1 and you keep your team within distance when you go to Kerkering, Romano, Strahm, Ross, and a little bit of Alvarado, you know, I mean, I thought your bullpen actually was a reason why you had a shot. You know, you get to the 10th inning, you get to the 9th, your 9th inning, you got Trea and Bryce Harper to kick the inning off. And both of them have bad at-bats. That's the problem. You actually still executed with 2 outs in the 9th, which is mind-numbing to think this group could do that, but they did it. And then in the 10th, you got Bryce and Kyle up in the 10th. These are your big bats. These are your big high-profile guys. These are the ones that need to deliver. That's where you failed. On top of Ranger just not having a good day at the office. Bohm over at third base making some mistakes as well, which costed you a run. And the way they scored it, it went and got tagged to Ranger Suarez for another earned run. But he had a sloppy play over at third base. And every run's important when you're losing a game that goes to extras. Every run. The double play that Turner maybe could have pulled off in the 9th. That error by Bohm that didn't actually get called an error, all of it. So that's more frustrating for me. But I also agree with Tom when it comes to frustration that the first pitch swinging crap is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Anyway, 215-592-9494. What a fantastic first hour, if I don't say so myself.